Hello, everyone. I thought I would come on here today, and I'm not going to be doing a cancer or chemo update. Um, I think that another wise way for me to be using these live videos is for um, just talking about important topics and actually being able to have a conversation with you guys. I think that doing it this way might be even better than just recording a video and putting it out there. And with my comments being so hit or miss with YouTube, I'd really love to be able to have a discussion with you guys. So I think that for future topics, if it's just something that's really important to have a conversation about, um, I'll use this live platform a little bit more. Um, I usually steer clear of talking about politics, especially on my channel, just because I want it to be a place of positivity. And I really feel like we should be working on finding common ground with everyone because as humans, we all have um, common ground if we try to build relationships with people. Um, and that's mostly what I want the focus of my channel to be about. Um, but given current events, I really feel like I can't not say something. Um, if you have been paying attention to current events, and I don't know how you can not be paying attention to current events, you would know that in the United States, we are having a lot of civil unrest right now. And it's something that I think we need to talk about, um, especially me being a white person. Um, it is something that I have had the privilege to not have to think about for most of my life. That is what white privilege is that you don't have to worry about um, being judged, because of my ethnicity in a myriad of different ways. Um, and I think it's really important that white people like myself start breaking that silence. I really am a strong believer that um, not talking about things and just like pretending that it's not happening and sweeping it under the rug um, really makes the problem worse. Even if you're not even if you're not like an actively, like personally racist person, there is still systemic racism. And I think that that's what a lot of people don't realize. And I just wanted to address that today. Hello, Nellie and Kristen. Love the shirt. Thank you. Oh, yes, I should probably make racism wrong again. So that is my political statement of the day. Make racism wrong again. um, so, yeah, I really do think that it's important. Like, I can't not say anything because this is such a critical issue, and there are so many people of color who are struggling and have been struggling all this time um, without a lot of people with privilege even realizing it. It's hidden and it's woven into the system, and and I really think that if those of us with privilege don't stand up and um, make a change ourselves in our behaviors, in our who we vote for, speaking out to representatives. It says, it's crazy. Yeah, what with COVID-19. Yeah, I know. And that's the other thing is like the timing of this right now is crazy with all of the protests. So the main thing that has sparked all of this is all of the protests that are going on in our nation right now, and it's actually worldwide. I've seen on the news that there are supportive. Oh, your boyfriend has COVID-19. Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope he's okay. Hopefully, he's strong and healthy and will be able to overcome it. Yeah. Um, but yeah, with these protests, there are enormous protests happening. And and the timing really is unfortunate because of COVID-19. And so many masses of people are gathering together. Like, I see these videos of people, and, maybe half of the people are wearing masks and they're all in very close contact together. And I just, that does worry me, especially um, since people of color are disproportionately affected by COVID-19. Um, and but I understand. I, you know, I understand that protests are a result of people um, who have been unheard for a very long time. And it's kind of like, so to speak, like the straw that broke the camel's back. Um, like enough is enough, and they can only take so much before, what can you do other than protest when you are in a position of lesser power? Um, so I am definitely supportive of the protests, but I do at the same time hope that people can wear their masks while they're there. Um, so yeah, um, I feel conflicted about that just because I know these protests are totally justified and they need to happen. They are absolutely necessary. And at the same time, I really hope that there's not huge surges in COVID-19 numbers because of the protests and a disproportionate number of people of color being affected by that. So, but I guess time will tell what happens. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about what are some things that we can all be doing, whether you are a person of color or whether you are a white person like me. What are some solutions that we can be doing in our daily lives? Um, I I was talking with my friends about this week, and particularly, I'll start talking about how to breach the topic with kids. This is something that I have really been struggling with in addressing this with my own kids because my kids are 2.5, 5, and 7. And at this point in their lives, like they truly are, just so innocent. And they don't see that color is a problem. Like it's just the way it is. Like people have different color skin and that's just the way it is. And I'm struggling with how to breach the topic of the fact that there are people in the world who think that the color of your skin means something, that it matters, and that it mean, that some people think that certain colors of skin mean that you're a better human being than a person with another color skin. And I just don't want to I don't want to, ruin their innocence. But at the same time, like I feel like we need to actively talk about this with kids because it's the not talking about it that is what perpetuates it. So I just, at this point, I'm not, I don't want to, just go all in and like talk about all of the extremely ugly side of humanity with my kids. Um, but I also want to like establish a foundation with them. So, like, for example, before all of this COVID-19 thing happened and we would go to the library a lot, um, I really made a point of making sure that we were getting a variety of books that showed all different ethnicities and cultures. Um, that's something I've actively been trying to do. Um, one of the classes that my son takes at the parent partnership that we do with homeschooling right now is about different cultures around the world. And I think that is fantastic. Just like learning about what language they speak and learning a little sample of the languages, these various countries, and um, just talking about how people do things differently culturally, but deep down, we are all the same on the inside. We all want the same things. We all just want to be loved and to love. Everybody loves their children. We all have, an eyes, nose, and a mouth, and we're all, you know, wanting the same things in life. So, um, yeah, so that's something that I have just been trying to just kind of weave into the culture of our family, just making that a really normal thing, just normalizing all kinds of different cultures and ethnicities. And another way that we do that at our house is the baby dolls that I have for my kids to play with. I have like a whole gamut of ethnicities of baby dolls for them to play with. And they don't even think anything of it. This is just like, these are all the different kinds of people, and that's cool. It's beautiful. Um, so that's another thing that I've been doing with my kids. Um, I am considering talking with them, or maybe I can find a book or something. I don't know. Do you guys have any suggestions for those of you with kids? I would love to find some good books that um, talk about this issue in a very delicate way with kids that's age appropriate. So if you guys have any suggestions, I would love to hear what you guys have been doing or any other kinds of activities that you've been doing with your kids to help them understand what's going on and how they need to learn that um, uh, that you need to speak up when you see something. This is another thing that people with privilege, with white privilege in particular, this is something else that we can do is even on social media, if you're out and about and you see some kind of, subtle racism, even something that's wrong, instead of just silently ignoring it, speak up and say, that's not okay. Um, Even if that's putting you out of your comfort zone. And it's really important to call out when something is wrong and to teach our kids to call out when something is wrong. I mean, this is something that they can learn to do with their peers on the playground. Um, okay, it says, okay, I will do a cancer update on another day, but I won't on this video because this is a different topic. But okay, I'm not sure who Vadi Balcoms is. I'll have to look that up. Um, it's all a matter of pigmentation. Yes. A triracial family, and my kids are exposed to a lot, but we never mention color. That's cool. I really like that. Or even just, I think, talking, like celebrating it instead of even focusing on the negative. I think it's really important for us to like celebrate differences. Um, So yeah, because it is true. It really is just pigmentation and how much melanin someone has in their skin. Like that's truly the difference. Like we're all human beings. And it's ridiculous that we live in 2020 and I am appalled and embarrassed that there is still so much racism happening in our culture, in our society. It's appalling to me. um, so I really think that, yeah, so in terms of kids, yeah, just talking about it with them and not making it a taboo subject and answering their questions if they do see what's going on in the news, like be honest and talking with them in an age appropriate kind of way. And just, I'm thinking of when they do ask that question of maybe saying, like, You've probably noticed that, there are all kinds of different people that look different ways, and it's so beautiful that God created us all so different. And but there are some people who think that that matters, and some people who think that their skin color is better than other people's skin color, and that that's not okay. And it's important for us to speak up about that. If we see somebody who says something like that, we need to say, that's not okay. Um, let's see. Kayla says racism stems from a pride of your own race. You see a lot of pride in the Black community as much. I think that that's fair enough, and I will address that, and because anyone in any race can be racist, and I do see that in all cultures, in all races, and this and I think that that's entirely true. In fact, I think that there is just as much racism in the Black community and Muslim community, the Indian community, Asian community, um, towards other races and towards white people and all of that just as much. Like I fully agree that that is the case also. Um, the difference, I think, though, is that the way our country's government is set up and our politics and everything was originally based on Eurocentric, white, racist, quite frankly, principles. And some of those things still remain. And that's where there is personal, yes, there is personal racism among all races going towards all the different races towards each other. But the problem is that the systemic racism is what needs change. And that's what all the protests are about, and George Floyd was the primary example. I mean, he is a prime example of that you rarely see police doing something like that to white males. Um, yes, bullying should stop. Yeah, that's so silly. Like, why should we be making judgments about who we're friends with? Because we're all people. People should be friends with people. um, but yeah, for example, like if there is a white guy who is, who has a license for a gun and is open carrying a gun or whatever, and is pulled over by a policeman and sees that he has a gun, like he's a lot less likely to be arrested. Whereas if a Black man is doing the same and obtained it in the exact same legal way, has a clear criminal background check and everything, the Black man is going to be a lot more likely to be arrested because Black people are by police so sadly considered to be more suspect. And it's things like that that are a problem. And there is, I was watching a video on this the other night, about how when they were like dividing up land way back when the country was forming, they actually did basically create ghettos for the freed slaves. And none of the white people wanted to sell real estate in these ghetto areas. And like those areas continued to pop up in all of the developing areas that are still there today. And a lot of these places became like the undesirable places, and it economically pushes people of color into a really difficult position to be in. And there's just all sorts of things that are built into the system, um, that make it really difficult. Like, or even if you're applying for a job, I've read many articles on this that um, more white sounding names are more likely to get the job, if there are multiple applicants. If there's a more non-white, I don't think this is even just for Black names, but any non-white kind of name, it's statistic they've statistically shown that, the person with the white name is more likely to get the job. Um, it's just really subtle racism like that that is really a problem. So anyway, um, I don't know what else I really wanted to say about this other than I just felt like I needed to say something because it's just been weighing really heavy on my heart, and my heart just breaks um, for these people who have been living with this um, kind of racism, forever, and they're fed up with it. And I want to support them in making that change so that we can have a better society for everyone. So, um, so, um, yeah, I don't think that I'm going to touch that subject at least today. Um, but yeah, I will look into that. Um, but yeah, I will say that in terms of the medical community, um, people of color are at a much higher risk of dying of almost every single disease. This subject was very well talked about by Mama Dr. Jones. She's a doctor who's on um, YouTube who is an OBGYN, and she just made a video, what was it, yesterday or the day before? I highly recommend you go look her up. I'll put a link in the description. But she talked about how the systemic racism exists in the medical system and how much of a problem that is. So she describes it so much better than I do. Um, it's so sad what happened to George Floyd. He didn't deserve to die like this. I completely agree. Um, and that's the other thing they're protesting is the police brutality. And like, I don't think that people realize how common that is. This one just happened to be in the limelight, but it's happened. I mean, it's happening daily, throughout history. Um, and like, I think the reason that he was being arrested was because there was like a counterfeit $20 bill or something like that, which he may not have even known it was counterfeit. Whatever the reason, it was not a reason to even be like restrained like that. He was cooperating, he wasn't fighting back, he had no weapon, and this cop, suffocated him to death with his knee on the back of his neck. And like, that punishment does not fit the crime, yet so many police get immunity for this kind of behavior. And um, I know there's some people who are saying like cops should cops really do have to um, there really is like a life-threatening situation, or there's somebody who is dangerous and has a weapon and is openly shooting or is attacking the cop. Like there are reasons why cops have to restrain people or even to shoot in self-defense sometimes, and I think that the intent really needs to be determined. And it really has to fit the situation. And in the George Floyd case, like totally does not fit the situation, not even close. Um, and cops need to get, off their high horse with that kind of thing. And I also, on the other side, don't want to say that all cops are bad because I think that that's just, this black and white thinking is destructive. No matter what the topic is, black and white thinking is destructive. Um, and there are a ton of really good cops out there as well. Like I've met many of them, like really good-hearted people who are really there to protect and serve. Um, but there are a few, and this is a topic that I'm actually going to make my next live on. I don't know if I'll get to it tonight or not, but I will in the next few days. I'm going to be talking about narcissism and how narcissism is the source of so many problems, both in society at large and even on a smaller scale as well. I think there is a small population, well, a sizable, it's minority still, but a sizable population of people who become a cop because it gives them a power trip, and they go into it for all the wrong reasons, narcissistic reasons. And that needs to be weeded out. People who have that psychologically going on should not be able to carry a weapon and be in a position of power. Like, not okay. So I really think that we need to be pushing for changing the law, and changing um, how maybe background checks are done before a cop can become a cop. So that's my take on that. My entire family's Black. There is no hate from an African American lineage. Um, yeah, so these Black Lives movements and systemic racism lead to more oppression. I see it in my own family. I'm so sorry that you are dealing with that in your family too. It breaks my heart. Had a white cop express disdain for a group of Black individuals. Ugh, yeah, and that's just not okay. It's just not okay. Um, so, yeah, I really think that that especially needs to be addressed, because that is the police force is one of the largest ways that systemic racism presents itself in society. So that's a good starting point. There are clearly all sorts of other, ways that it presents in education and healthcare and all those things as well. Um, but we need to, at least this is a good first stepping stone, and we need to address that. And we need to have our voices heard that we're not going to put up with this anymore, because it's not okay. Um, so never ever touched gun in my life. That's, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Um, So, anyway, is there anything else that you guys wanted to discuss? I'm really enjoying having this interaction with you guys, because this is such an important thing to talk about. The community tab on my page, and put it on Facebook as well. So if you guys want to continue the discussion even when I'm done, we're going on a half an hour here, so that's probably long enough to be on here. Um, Oh, it's not accurate that more Black men being killed by cops. Oh, well, okay. Thank you for correcting me on that. That's good to know. I definitely want to be accurate with my facts, and I am open to being corrected if I am wrong. So, anyway, so that is what I wanted to talk about today. And I just wanted to put my love out there to you all, that like we really are just a human family, and I don't know why we're making this so hard on ourselves. I really don't. Like, life would be so much better if we all decided that, we're all human, and maybe we should all just get along, because life is just so much better that way. So I am sending all of my love out to you. Conversations with your friends, with your kids, with your families. Talk about, ways that you can make a difference. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to mention. Just a couple of bullet points, things that maybe bullet points is not the right word I should be using right now. A couple of points, um, things that we can be doing. I've been seeing some things circulating in my community page about um, companies that are owned by Black owners in our area that we can be supporting right now to help lift them up economically right now, especially in this difficult time with the pandemic. That's something you can do, is to look into um, businesses that have Black owners and really supporting them right now. There are also, my friend sent me a link to a Black online bookstore, and I'm actually thinking of heading over there and buying some books from there, like children's books for my kids. So that's another thing that you can do. And like I said, if you hear something, say something. don't just be silent and let people continue to behave in ways that are not okay. Say something. Um, okay. Um, I think it's showing partiality. I think it's just the point of that is compensating for the disparity that is there, like the economic disparity. That's the whole idea behind supporting Black businesses right now. Um, but I mean, that doesn't mean you have to exclusively support Black businesses. In fact, I would say in general, support small businesses, regardless of who owns them. But it's just a way of showing like solidarity and support during this time right now. So I think that's just the idea behind that. So, all right. I think that's all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thanks for continuing to speak up and do the right thing, especially for those of us who have systemic privilege. Let's use that privilege to make a difference. All right. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Bye.